Hey everyone, a little bit of a different video today, and I'm going to try to keep this short. I know I've said that in the past with longer videos, but don't have a whole lot to say on this subject. But I want to talk about quality in your development teams or engineering teams. For those of you that are in organizations and or enterprises or whatever and have teams, I've got some opinions, I guess, on how your teams should be structured, and it kind of boils into Conway's Law a little bit. So I've got the Wikipedia page pulled up here. So the gist of Conway's Law, at least in the context that I'm going to use it, is that your software kind of matches the organizational structure of your company. And so this is where things in the past, like DevOps, I guess, came from. You know, it used to be you had a development team doing the developing, and you had an operations team doing the infrastructure and all of the monitoring and all of that. And those two concepts began to meld together into the DevOps like philosophy, where your development team kind of includes operations experts that can help with the infrastructure and the monitoring, and you kind of bring the two together. I think that also, depending on who you ask or you know who you're talking to, I think that also includes your quality teams and stuff. So I just want to talk a little bit about that kind of a setup. So this is kind of a historic setup in a lot of companies. You'd have a development team, you'd have a QA or a quality team, and you'd have your operations or your systems teams, whatever you want to call them. And each person or each team really had their own responsibilities. You know, the development team was just writing the code, and the quality team was writing the tests, and the operations team was building out the infrastructure and all of the necessities there. And DevOps to me is really a correlation of all three of these things onto a single team. It's, in a way, it's about having more full stack engineers rather than specialties, but that doesn't mean you can't have specialties. Like, your development team can include a operations engineer, a quality engineer, and a software engineer. Like, that's fine. But it's just really pushing people more in that direction of being able to kind of do everything for your application. You know, you should be able to write the code for the application as well as the infrastructure and the tests and all the quality stuff. You need to be able to like have ownership over the whole product and be in control of everything. And so that's super important. I think, you know, again, historically here, it was a little bit of a tug of war between development and operations. And in some cases there was like a third team in here for quality, you know, and you're kind of feel like you're throwing the code over the wall, right, to the quality team and just telling them, hey, go make sure this is good, you know, go validate this. And then you're throwing it over the wall to the operations team, like, hey, we need to get this deployed. And it's really about just stopping that mentality, that mindset of just throwing things over the wall and bringing the team together to do everything as one. So you see something like this, and this is kind of like your ideal stage where the whole team is really embraced DevOps, and they do their own planning and the coding, building, testing, releasing, deploying, all of that stuff. The operations and infrastructure stuff is all just done by the development team that owns that product. And in my experience, I know everybody has different experiences and different, you know, I guess histories with different companies that did things the right way or the wrong way. And that context is hard to bring out in a video like this to kind of communicate it. But just to say, I've worked on a lot of teams, a lot of low performing teams, high performing teams, and I've found that embracing the DevOps mindsets has really helped teams that I've worked with flourish. So all of this to say, quality is the responsibility of the software engineers and the web developers on the team. That's the way things should be. You know, you should not be having somebody else outside of your team doing your testing, especially unit testing, of course. And I think most engineers that are writing code with unit tests are also the ones writing the unit tests. But this includes everything, right? Like integration tests, end-to-end tests, or if you have like API tests, performance tests, security tests. There's so many things to consider. And I think, you know, we as web developers or as software engineers need to make sure we stay up on that knowledge and be able to, increase our own value and the value in the product by maintaining these high levels of quality. I think it's super important, at least in my opinion. Although, like I said, I understand different people come from different contexts, and maybe it doesn't work well for your team, and that's fine. But yeah, in addition to being in charge of the quality, you should learn things about your infrastructure, if it's on-prem, if it's in AWS, or if it's in Azure or the Google Cloud Platform. It doesn't really matter, but if your company that you work for, let's say they're in AWS, you should probably learn a bit about AWS, and how to automate deployments in AWS with stuff like CloudFormation or with Terraform. Just really get down into the nitty-gritty and understand the whole application, like the CI/CD pipelines and how everything works. It really encompasses everything that I'm going to be talking about and that I have talked about already on this channel. So yeah, this is really probably all that I wanted to say. I just kind of wanted to communicate that I feel like people just need to embrace the mindset more. There's a lot of companies I know out there that still have separate operations teams and separate quality teams and separate development teams, and it's just, in my experience, if you can bring these threads and tie them together, put them on single teams, it just helps out tremendously with your ability to move quickly and deliver good software in an agile environment. So that's it for this video today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I'll see you next time.